If you think the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy is a plasma rifle, you've never watched a conversation stop a war, and if you stay with me until the end you'll understand why the Titan Command quietly rewrote their training manuals after what happened on Omega Outpost. And if you enjoy grounded human sci-fi like this, remember to subscribe to the channel because stories like this only get stranger. The containment seal on the cylinder screamed open with a razor hiss that sliced through the smuggler den, and every soldier in my squad froze as if time itself had stalled. Karzek stood in the center of the room like a monument to bad decisions, a 7-foot slab of armored muscle and alien bone, his claws wrapped around a glass canister filled with swirling cobalt vapor. That gas was a sector killer. One drop in open air and lungs would dissolve into foam. My team was pinned behind cargo crates stuffed with illegal fusion cores, their rifles trained on him but useless. You don't shoot a walking extinction event. You talk to it. I stepped out from cover before anyone could stop me. No armor. No weapon. Just a uniform jacket and a heartbeat that sounded louder than the station engines. The floor vibrated beneath my boots, a constant metallic tremor that crawled up my spine, and sweat rolled down my ribs in cold lines. Karzek's mandibles spread in what every database translated as a death smile. He was seconds away from slamming the vial into the ground. Captain Rourke shouted in my comm, but his voice blurred into static. Tunnel vision. It was just me and the alien. This wasn't a firefight. It was an argument where losing meant everyone died. And sometimes the deadliest weapon you can deploy is a sentence spoken at the right time. 3 days earlier, the most dangerous thing in my life had been paperwork. I was buried in transfer forms in a sterile office back on Earth Station, arguing with Director Hesh, a gelatinous bureaucrat floating inside a suspension tank. He denied my application without even looking up fully. "You are an administrator, Ms. Carter," his synthetic translator droned. "Conflict mediation. Payroll disputes. Civil complaints. Titan Division requires combat specialists." I leaned against the glass of his tank and told him I'd spent 10 years dispatching emergency calls in New York before the interstellar accords. I'd talked armed men into putting down guns. I'd kept people breathing long enough for help to arrive. Panic, I explained, is math. Fear follows patterns. He dismissed me anyway. There was no checkbox for talked monsters down. I forced my way into Titan's strategy briefing when intel on Karzek surfaced. The room went silent when I started talking over their flight projections. They were tracking his engines. I was tracking his ego. Smugglers like him didn't hide. They staged entrances. I pointed to the Shard Belt, a chaotic asteroid graveyard visible across half the sector. "He'll go somewhere dramatic," I said. They laughed. 2 hours later we dropped out of warp inside the belt, staring directly at Karzek's stealth ship. Psychology beat hardware. That fluke earned me a spot on the raid. Now I stood in front of the reason everyone else was hiding. I slowed my breathing the way I used to during hostage calls. You don't see a monster. You see a person trying not to lose. You're not holding power, I told him evenly. You're holding debt. His inner eyelid flicked sideways, confusion. He expected threats, not accounting. The blue gas lit his face from below like ghost fire. I stepped closer, feeling heat radiate from his chest. You break that vial, you erase your entire shipment. Profit gone. Reputation gone. Dead men don't negotiate contracts. But a smuggler who outsmarts Titan? That story multiplies your value. I reframed the moment. Not a siege. A business meeting. He clicked his teeth. Your soldiers will fire. Not with me standing here, I replied. I could feel Rourke shaking with restraint behind me. Humans have a stupid, stubborn trait. We walk into danger because logic says someone has to. I opened my hand. Universal gesture. Empty palm. Give it to me. You walk out alive. Your legend grows. Drop it, and you're a cautionary tale. Silence swallowed the room. Even the engines seemed to hold their breath. He looked at the vial, then at me. He saw I wasn't bluffing. I wasn't fearless. I was managing the situation like a customer complaint scaled up to planetary consequences. Vanity beat destruction. Slowly, carefully, he placed the warm glass cylinder in my palm. The second my fingers closed, the air shifted. Rourke moved like lightning, baton cracking against Karzek's neural ridge. The giant collapsed mid-snarl. The room exhaled. My legs nearly followed him. Rourke grabbed my shoulders, eyes wide. "You're insane," he whispered. I straightened my jacket. "Conflict resolution," I said. "It's literally my job." The debrief with Director Hesh was quiet. The footage played above his tank, a human walking into the blast radius of a sector killer and talking it into surrender. He replayed the moment 3 times. "No tactical model predicts this," he said finally. "You ignored survival protocol." "I engaged the operator," I corrected. "You have plenty of people who shoot well. You needed someone who reads minds instead of radar." Bubbles drifted through his tank while he processed that. Then he approved the transfer. Lieutenant Carter, commanding officer of a new division built entirely around negotiation. Squad Echo, the first unit designed to weaponize conversation. I left his office with the promotion heavy in my chest, not as pride but as understanding. The galaxy was obsessed with sharper blades and bigger cannons. But civilizations didn't collapse because someone fired first. They collapsed because no one talked soon enough. As the station doors slid open and the noise of Titan command poured in, I realized humanity's real advantage wasn't strength or speed. It was the irrational belief that even monsters could be reasoned with. And sometimes, against every prediction in the universe, that belief works. Director Hesh thought he was approving a personnel change. He was watching the beginning of a doctrine shift. Somewhere in a holding cell, Karzek would wake up alive, and that outcome would echo louder than any explosion. I walked down the corridor knowing the next crisis would come, and when it did, they wouldn't send the biggest soldier. They'd send the one willing to step into the blast radius and start a conversation. And in a universe addicted to violence, that might be the most terrifying weapon humanity has ever invented.